Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Walker.
And I'm Chris Baginski, and this is RMU Live. The swine flu has claimed its youngest victim in our area tonight.
That's right. The Allegheny County Health Department reports that the victim, a newborn girl from Washington County, died over the weekend at Children's Hospital. Now, the baby was just 8 weeks old and likely caught the flu from her parents. The infant did not receive the vaccine because it's not given to babies under 6 months of age. The health department says this is an important reminder for caregivers to get vaccinated against the swine flu.
And a tough weekend for Steeler fans. A rough loss to the Bengals on Sunday, and Troy Polamalu injured, being called questionable for the next game.
It was a tight game. Ed Albert joins us now for the very latest on the Steelers. What's going on with the black and gold, Ed?
Oh, Chris, you know, the injury bug has been biting the Penguins, but now it looks like it's starting to get back to the Steelers, with Troy Polamalu being arguably one of the best defensive players in the league, let alone on the Steelers. So it's very concerning that he may once again miss playing time due to injury. Polamalu was injured in the first game of the season against the Tennessee Titans after spraining his MCL, forcing him to miss 4 games afterwards. This time, it is Polamalu's left knee, which is injured, with head coach Mike Tomlin pointing out that it is not a re-injury. Now, Polamalu is listed as questionable for Sunday's game against Kansas City, and we'll have more on the Steelers coming up in sports.
Thank you, Ed. Old Economy Village may be in danger of closing due to lack of money. The historical site in Beaver County has been a museum since 1916, but dwindling state funding could shut it down. Old Economy is just one of 6 venues across the state that are to be closed as part of statewide budget cuts and layoffs. Old Economy showcases 17 original buildings and artifacts from the Harmony Society, a highly successful 19th century religious communal society.
And the Robert Morris literary magazine Rune hosted a poetry reading today. The event featured Judy Robinson, an editor, teacher, fiction writer, and poet, presenting some of her poetry to the students of RMU in the Romo Cafe. Now, after Robinson's reading, the students had a chance to feature their own work at an open mic.
Real Robert Morris University Educators Advocating for Literacy is running their book fair this week. The book fair runs tomorrow from 10 to 6 p.m. in order to raise funds to help the Elementary Education Department fund their community service projects. The proceeds will go towards the supplies they use to help with tutoring, art projects, and other service acts. The book fair is a great place to buy Christmas presents or for future teachers to buy affordable books for their classrooms.
And after the break, new controversial recommendations involving mammograms and how often women in their 40s should have them. That's coming up.
Plus, the space shuttle gets ready for takeoff, bound for the International Space Station with some very earthly cargo. Stick around, RMU Live will be right back.
Some new and controversial recommendations tonight for women in their 40s and how often they should get mammograms.
Plus, some new legislation up for a vote in California on the use of medicinal marijuana. Casey Folga joins us live with the latest health news tonight.
There's been a lot of debate over the years when and why women should get mammograms. Now, a new recommendation says women in their 40s don't need to get mammograms if breast cancer is not in their family history. Why the change? Here's CNN's Christy Paul with today's Health Minute. The future of hundreds of medical marijuana dispensaries in Los Angeles may go up in smoke if the city council votes to pass a strict new ordinance on the clinics. The ordinance is meant to ban for-profit sales of the drug, allowing only nonprofit collectives where marijuana is grown by the members to sell it to seriously ill patients. The nonprofit groups would also have to be at least 1,000 feet away from any schools, churches, or hospitals. The measure would over-the-counter sales of the substance. City officials say they are targeting dispensaries that are selling medical marijuana to people who do not qualify for it. A decision on the ordinance could be made as early as Wednesday.
And the Space Shuttle Atlantis is on its way to the International Space Station. Atlantis and its 6-member crew will dock with the space station on Wednesday. The space shuttle was bringing about 15 tons of spare parts to the outpost, as well as thousands of tiny worms. Now, the worms will be used to help experts at the University of Nottingham learn more about how the body builds and loses muscle. So in essence, we have our first in-space bait shop.
You could say that. I don't know how many fish are up there in space, though.
Probably not too many.
But I also don't know what the weather's like up there, but I do know that down here it's been getting cooler lately, and I'm just wondering if there's somebody who could tell us what the weather's going to be like in the coming days.
My guess would be our very own Channing Frampton, who joins us now.
Well, hey, temperatures are running right about 52 degrees at this time here in Moon Township, which is right around where we should be for this time of the year. Seasonal temperatures have returned, so say goodbye to the Indian summer for a while. Right now we're at 52 degrees with a dew point of 31 degrees. Humidity is right around 45%, excuse me, and pressure is holding at 30.15 inches for this time of the day. Winds are out of the east at 9 miles per hour, and if we take a look at the temperatures around the local region, we can see that they're running right about the 52 degree mark, with temperatures around 52 degrees in Beaver Falls as well as Pittsburgh, 55 degrees down in Washington, PA, 53 in Burgettstown, and if we take a look at the eastern side of the map, 51 degrees in Katanning, 52 in New Ken, and Greensburg's holding at 50 degrees, the cool spot for this hour here on our weather forecast. For the temperatures with the rest of the eastern half of the country, it looks like this. 50 in Detroit, Cleveland, and Erie. Up around the Great Lakes, we're going to see temperatures staying right about moderated, with the temperature of the water still being a little bit warm for this time of the year. 50 degrees also in Fort Wayne, 55 in Columbus, and the warm spot of the day looks like Lexington, Kentucky, 56 degrees. We also have a cold spot of the day, Morgantown, West Virginia, 49 degrees. It's pretty chilly up there on the mountaintops, but our forecast tonight looks like this. We have temperatures going down to about 38 degrees, with the cloudy skies beginning to move in with another frontal system that's beginning to move towards the area. It will begin to work its way into our area beginning Thursday morning, but our almanac today looks like for this. 56 degrees was our actual high today, and our normals for this time of year, 50 degrees and 34 degrees. So right now we're going down in with this, we're losing the sun, we're losing the temperatures, but our records for this time of the year look like this, 75 and 11 degrees. Now our forecast tomorrow, I think you're going to like it. It looks like this, 59 degrees with partly cloudy skies. You may see some sunshine popping out here and there throughout the rest of the area, but our Frampton 5-day forecast looks like this. It's a little more abominable, with temperatures going down to about 57 degrees on Thursday, rain showers moving in throughout all day Thursday, but we should see some drying out conditions as a high pressure system begins to move in through Friday evening and into Saturday. Our high for this weekend looks like to be 56 degrees. Back to you guys at the news desk.
Okay, so luckily the weather's still not going to be too cold.
Well, middle going into the end of November, what else could you ask for?
Yeah,
Pretty nice.
I suppose we're lucky.
Well, Ed Albert will be joining us now for a look at what's coming up in sports.
Thanks, Chris. Coming up in sports, we have two Penguins games, the Colonials football game, the Pitt football game, the Steelers football game, and the next to the last race in NASCAR's chase for the Sprint Cup. This sports segment is packed full of action, so stay tuned to RMU Live because you don't want to miss it. The Colonials football team has been streaky, to say the least. They started off the season by losing 6, but then responded by winning 4 in a row. Their latest victory came against the Wagner Seahawks at Joe Walton Stadium. The second consecutive week, the Colonials beat the team on top of the NEC. It was senior day, and the seniors had a big game. In response, receiver Sherrod Evers had 5 receptions for 73 yards and a touchdown, while cornerback Michael Richards had a 64-yard interception return. But junior running back Miles Russ had the biggest game of them all, as he carried the ball 19 times for 177 yards, leading to a 9.1 yard per carry average. The final score was 37-10 in favor of the Colonials. And while we're at it, why not change to some other college football? And this time it's going to be the Pitt Panthers and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They would be going at it down at Heinz Field. And, you know, Dave Wanstad and Charlie Weiss would be getting their teams ready for that game. There you see it is. And here it is Bill Stahl dropping back. And he's going to look down the field and find Jonathan Baldwin, who makes a spectacular diving catch for the touchdown. Pitt goes ahead 10-3. Then in the fourth quarter, with Pitt in the lead 20-9, Dion Lewis takes the handoff, goes up the middle, makes a couple of men miss, and it is untouched into the end zone for a 50-yard touchdown run. Pitt goes in front 27-9. Then in the middle of the fourth quarter, Pitt is ahead 27-16. They punt, and Notre Dame tries to get back into the game with Golden Tate on this punt return. He breaks an early tackle there. All he has to beat is the punter. That's not hard to do. And he turns on the afterburners and goes to the end zone, 87 yards for the touchdown. The two-point conversion would fail, and Pitt would keep the lead 27-22. It's that same score late on here in the fourth when Clausen drops back. That pass originally is called incomplete, but it would be reviewed. It was a fumble recovered by Pitt, and that would seal the deal. Pitt wins 27-22. And also taking place on Saturday night was a sport of a different style, and this was hockey. And this is going to be Penguins defenseman Jay McKee at the Mellon Arena. A nice little backhander. He's a defensive defenseman, but who says he can't have hands? Penguins in front 1-0. Then after a Blake Wheeler goal, it's tied at 1 when Pascal Dupuis picks up some garbage in front of the net, and he buries that one home, gives the Penguins a 2-1 lead before heading to the break in the second. Then Michael Ryder would tie it up at the beginning of the second when Sidney Crosby would deflect this Alex Goligoski slap shot in to give the Penguins the 3-2 lead here in the middle of the second period. Fans enjoy that goal, but then later on it would be Derek Morris with a shot from the point, just gets it to trickle by backup goalie Johnson, who's in for Marc-Andre Fleury, and it would tie it up at 3. And then here to the third period, Sidney Crosby passes it over to the pride of Wilmington, Delaware, Mark Eaton, as he finds its way past Tim Thomas. Penguins go back in front 4-3. Back and forth this entire game. And this time it would be the turn of the Boston Bruins again as David Krejci sends it back to Zdeno Chara, who slaps it, and it's tipped in and goes in for the power play goal on a two-man advantage, and that ties it up at 4. And then it would be Boston again, and they would try to take their first lead of the game here as it's Mark Recchi, the former Penguin, back to the point to Zdeno Chara again, and it would be tipped in by Marco Sturm for the 5-4 lead. And just when you think the Penguins are out of it here in the third, 10 seconds left, take a look at what happens. The stick breaks there, and Malkin and Crosby come racing down, and there's Billy Guerin, buries it with 0.4 of a second left. Tim Thomas says, oh, he's just disgusted with that one, ties it up, and then the Penguins would go on here. Look what Tim Thomas misplays the puck. Jordan Stahl gets it to Pascal Dupuis for his 100th career goal, and that's how the game would end. The Penguins would win 6-5. What a game, and what a big weekend, and why not at Heinz Field? Following the thrilling victory of the Pitt Panthers on Saturday night over Notre Dame, the Steelers took to the field a little over 12 hours later to take on the Cincinnati Bungles in a battle for the first place in AFC North. Could the Steelers avenge their loss earlier in the season? Let's go to Heinz Field to find out once more. So as we take a look here, Ben Roethlisberger taking on the Bengals, getting ready for this one. We start in the first quarter when it's 3-0 Steelers, and Scott Bernard fields the kickoff on a bounce and breaks out to the left side and outruns everyone to the end zone for a 96-yard touchdown return as he gets by the kicker there, Jeff Reed, and William Gay, not able to get him out of bounds. He sneaks into the end zone. Cincinnati would, however, bobble the extra point attempt, and it would only be 6-3. Then here in the third quarter, Steelers ahead 9-6 when the Roethlisberger ball batted in the air and intercepted by Frosty Rucker, and that would lead to the game-tying field goal for the Bengals and knotting it up at 9 early on there in the third quarter. And then late on in the fourth quarter, the Steelers are down 6. It's 4th and 10, and defensive end Michael Johnson pressures Ben Roethlisberger. The pass attempt fails. The Bengals would run out the clock for the victory. The Bengals sweep the season series versus the Steelers for the first time since '98. The Bengals have won 7 of 8 games, and the Steelers' 5-game winning streak was snapped. Final score was 18-12 in favor of the Bengals. And also taking place on Sunday, here's Mike Tomlin. And Jimmy Johnson now with the NASCAR points leader. Half his lead disappeared last week after his wreck at Texas. And how would the man chasing victory history fare out here? Johnson goes to the inside of Kurt Busch on lap 56, and Johnson takes that lead and would not look back. Then lap 170, Dale Earnhardt Jr. got loose coming off of turn 4, a huge pileup, nearly blocking the entire front stretch. Matt Kenseth, Tony Stewart, Joey Logano, all involved, and Stewart not happy as he slams the gear there and grabs it. But on the final lap, it's Johnson taking the win and moving closer. 4th consecutive championship. Johnson needing only to finish 25th or better next Sunday at Homestead, Miami. They're celebrating. Here he is after the race.
I was pretty bummed out after last week. Chad did a great job of kind of steering the team and keeping everybody's spirits up, focused on the right things. And we showed up and good in qualifying trim, qualified well. And then once we had that second set of tires on the car today, the car took off, and we just made some small adjustments from there and just kept making the car better and better. So very proud of the team and how we can bounce back, stay focused on the right things, and get the
Penguins
job
were
done.
able to snap their losing streak on Saturday against the Bruins in thrilling fashion, as you just saw. They came into the Mellon Arena Monday night looking to continue that momentum against the Anaheim Ducks, one of the 3 Western Conference opponents that they already have faced twice this season. But they would have to do so without another of their defensemen, as Alex Goligoski will be out for 2 to 3 weeks with a lower body injury. So with Nate Gennon, a native of Sewickley, being recalled to replace Goligoski, could the Penguins get back-to-back victories? To the ice of the Igloo we go to find out. And so the Penguins and the Ducks going at it. Penguins ahead here 1-0 early on here in the first, when Billy Guerin, the man of the hour in the last game, gets another one, breaks the Penguins off the power play schneid to put them ahead now 2-0. And then in the third period, it's 4-1 Penguins when Marc-Andre Fleury, who was having a great night in goal, makes a fantastic glove save on the breakaway attempt of Evgeny Artukin. And then the Ducks here in the third period, it's 4-2 Penguins. They tied it up, but Matt Cook, who had the first game of the evening for the Penguins, gets his empty netter. Final score 5-2 Penguins. Bill Guerin, as I mentioned, ended Pittsburgh's 8-game streak without a power play goal, and Anaheim would go winless for the 4-game road trip by losing here to the Penguins. That has been the Sports Pulse, and I'm Ed Albert. Send it back over now to Chris Walker.
And now we head over to Ernie Bernard for My 2 Cents and commentary on current events. The views expressed in this segment do not necessarily reflect the views of Robert Morris University or the Academic Media Center. Here's Ernie.
No matter where you are on campus anymore, you can't even turn your head without seeing hand sanitizer. Now I'm all for trying to protect yourself against the dreaded H1N1 virus, but this is getting outrageous. If you just think using hand sanitizer is going to be your strongest defense from catching any flu or cold this season, then you need to do some of your homework. Drinking orange juice, keep an active routine, something else you need to work with. Also, the other thing I find funny as heck is that they're everywhere, and it's just a short-term answer. As soon as you touch something else, your hands are no longer clean. Now, you may say to yourself, then what, I'll use it every hour. Well, that will just destroy your hands. So now your last question is, now what do I do now? Use everything in moderation, because then if you do more than one thing, you're building a strong defense. But the best thing you should do is talk to your doctor. But hey, that's just my 2 cents.
You guys.
All right, thanks, Ernie. And that wraps it up for this edition of RMU Live, the last one of the semester.
And also the last one that you're going to be taking part in, unfortunately.
Myself, I'll be graduating some other very talented individuals who've worked on this show for a long time. We brought them down to the set. We want to bring them on here for the last show. Our very talented technical director, Brian Quaddington.
And our director, Cassie Wanzero.
Also, we have Michael Prutzman here as well. Is he down here yet? Or?
I don't know, get him down here. You might want to get him down here too.
But all very talented. I think, you know, I speak for everybody when it's just to say it's an honor and a privilege to be able to work with all of you, and we're going to miss it.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're going to miss you guys. You know, Chris and I are just sophomores, and Casey's a freshman, and we've learned a lot from you guys, so it'll be rough to have you guys go out, and we appreciate everything you've taught us in our short time here, and you guys will all be very, very sorely missed.
It's been an honor working with all of you, but it's been an even bigger honor knowing all of you.
Exactly.
Well, that's all the time we have here this evening. A big thank you to everybody who's helped out on the show this semester. And now, as always, thanks for tuning in, and take care.